All right, did everybody get a little break in? Feel refreshed, stretched, ready to roll? Good. Well, I want to thank you for those of you that are sticking around and for those of you that are just showing up right now for this portion of today's training. And I thought what we'd do today for the next time we have here, we got about 45 minutes before we're going to break for lunch. So what I want to do is I want to delve into the 4 steps that I quickly rattled off before we went to break. So who remembers what step number 1 was?
Write down your reason.
The reason, right? You need to have a reason why you're going to build this business. What was number 2? Use the products. Order a CEO pack. Number 3. What was number 3?
List of 6 people.
List of 6. What was number 4? Engage. Good, everybody was listening. Perfect. Okay, so reason, use the products, list of 6, and engage. So here's what I want to know from everybody. How many people here want to have a great life with strong physical health? Raise your hand if you want a great life with strong physical health. Okay? How many of you here want to have a great life with financial success? Okay? Perfect. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about now. So let's go to number 1. So we got our 4 steps to success. Number 1 is the reason. If people don't have a reason why they'll build this business, I want to say it again. I said it earlier, I won't even let them get started. You're not even allowed. Because what's going to happen is we're going to get down the road and the person who doesn't have a reason is start going to make excuses. They're going to start complaining. They're going to start whining. They're going to start coming up with everything in the world why it's not working. And if you have a reason, your reason will trump all challenges in your life, and you'll never stop, you'll never quit, you'll never get up, you'll never stop losing hope because your reason is so big for why you're going to do this. If you don't have a reason, you'll let the rest of the world drag you down and tell you that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not capable enough, you're not talented enough, you're not good looking enough, your resume doesn't muster up, you don't have the wisdom, the experience, the age on your side, you don't know enough people. All those things will creep in. Or someone will come along and they're going to say, don't tell me. Christian, you got involved in one of those things. And you're going to go, what? What do you mean I got involved in a thing? Yeah, you know, one of those things that's structured like this, and where everybody on the top makes all the money and everybody on the bottom doesn't make the kind of money. And you go, I never thought about that before. Maybe you're right. And without that reason, you'll let stinking thinking, negative-minded, mediocre, average, poor thinking people creep into your brain, and here's what happens. They end up being the most expensive tenant that you will ever lease property to because they don't pay rent. They're taking up all the space in your mind and they don't pay rent. That's why they're the most expensive tenant. So you have to think about these dream stealers that are out there. Your dream needs to be so big that it's incapable of being stolen away from you. And dream stealers are everywhere. They'll do exactly what I told you a second ago. They'll convince you that you're not capable. And I think they're the worst criminals in the world. You think about the worst criminals in the world, there's some horrible ones out there. Murderers, rapists, grand theft auto people, people that just want to do people harm for no apparent good reason whatsoever. I think dream stealers take the cake. How many people could have been, would have been great in this world, and they'll never know what their full potential was because they believed a theft. And we don't want that to happen to you. That's why number 1 is so important. You see why number 1 is so important? You have to have a reason. And when they give me a reason, I say, tell me about that. Elaborate on that. Go a little deeper. Expand. What do you mean that you want this to happen in your life? What do you mean that you want to pay cash for your daughter's wedding? What will it mean to you to be able to do that? How will you feel when that occurs? How will it feel to you when you say you want to be debt-free? What kind of debt do you have? Credit cards, how much are we talking about? $80,000 of credit card debt, 7 different credit cards? Tell me how it feels when you make the last payment on those credit cards. Elaborate, expand. See, those are reasons. Those are reasons. I remember when I proposed to my wife, and she said yes. It was a strange kind of proposal because my father-in-law had forbade me to marry his daughter. I want you to think about that for a second. Every young man's desire is to be appealing or attractive or good enough in the eyes of the father-in-law to have permission to marry their daughter. I envisioned that in my head for years. Someday I'm going to have the privilege. I'm going to have a father-in-law. I'm going to have a mother-in-law. And I went to ask permission or talk about getting married to his daughter, and he said, "You're not good enough." And he went on to elaborate, and he said, here's what he said literally. This is going to shock you. He said, "Are you going to be a doctor?" And I said, "No, sir. I don't have any plans to be a doctor." He said, "Oh, okay. Well, how about a lawyer? Are you going to be one of those?" And I said, "No, sir. I have no plans to be a lawyer." He said, "If you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer, what are you going to be?" And I said, "Sir, I plan on being a professional network marketer." A professional what? A professional network marketer. And he said, "That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of in my life. Everybody that is a network marketer fails." And I said, "Sir, I'm not going to fail." And he said, "Tell me about your parents. How long have they been married?" And I said, "Well, they were married for 14 years before they decided to not be married anymore." And he goes, "And you want to marry my daughter?" "Yes, sir, I would like to do that." He said, "All you know is what a divorced family looks like. The only thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to marry my daughter and get a divorce." I said, "Sir, I don't think that's going to happen at all." And so you can see that this went from a good idea to, in his mind, a bad idea. But in my mind, I had a reason. I had a reason from that moment forward to prove him wrong. And every time someone has ever come into my life, ever, and said, "You can't do something," that is motivation for me to work 10 times harder and smarter. I will prove everybody wrong that tells me that I'm not able to do something, and that's the fuel to my fire. You need fuel in your gas tank? You need a reason to pull something off? Just go prove all the people that tell you you're not capable incorrect. It's all the fuel you need, because you have 2 choices. You can listen to them and you'll get what they've got. Or you can listen to people that have what you want and you'll get what they've got. So here's what I did. When I started thinking about him telling me that I couldn't have a very good marriage, we have the best of marriage that I could ever imagine. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, my marriage is a 10. It's phenomenal. It's so crazy good, I don't even know how it could possibly get any better. But it's not by accident, it's that we work on it. We work on our marriage. Sometimes I tell people, "Hey, my wife and I are going to counseling." "Oh, I'm so sorry. Why are you going to do that?" It's because we have a 10 out of 10 marriage and I want to keep it that way. And see, most people do things like that when they find themselves in a desperate place. Like it's the last hope possible. Why do I go to training? Why do I keep training? Why do I keep reading books all the time? It's because I'm constantly programming my mind with everything that I need to overcome every fear, every obstacle, every issue, every challenge, every thought of doubt that could ever creep into my head. It's immediately overcome, and the victory has been won before the challenge even arrived, because we don't stay down when we fall down. It's not that we're not going to fall down like everybody else, we just know how to get back up. Does this make sense? You got to know your reason. You have to be convicted about your reason. And you have to have an I will not give up, I will not quit, I will not bow down, I will not stay down, I will not give up just because somebody out there wants to poo-poo me. So be convicted. Be obsessed about this business called longevity. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your way out. This is how you're never going to have a job again. This is how you completely pay off all your credit cards and you start paying cash for everything. This is how you're free in 2 years. This is how you pay off your mortgage in the next 5 years instead of the next 30. This is how you become philanthropic. This is how you donate. This is how you start things. This is how you fuel projects. This is how you get things done. This is how you send your kids out the door when they get married. You bless them so they don't have to struggle the way that most people might struggle. Doesn't mean you let them struggle some and spread their wings a little bit, but it means that you're there and you can assist them when you need to. My son started building this business about 10 months ago. He's 15 years old. Blake now has an organization that exceeds 3,000 people. He's 15. If you saw the volume that he does and you tracked how he's progressing through the business right now, it's fun, it's cute, it's exciting, it's awesome, it's exciting. And I'm so proud as a father to see him going through the motions and the actions. And you know what? There's no entitlement. I don't do this for him. He's building the business. I don't want anybody to say, oh, well, it's because, you know, he's your son. He's got, you know, this kind of an outcome. I make him do everything. Yesterday, here I am in New Zealand. He had to follow up with someone. He's calling me for advice. And he's following up with someone, getting them registered into the system. He's doing what leaders do. He's going to go to a meeting. I'm not going to be there this next week. Before I get home, he's taking a group of people with him. He started building his business by talking to his 8th grade, 13, 14-year-old friends. And here's what he would say to them. He'd say, are you going to college? Yeah. How are you going to pay for that? I don't know. My parents are going to take care of it. Go tell your parents tonight that my dad has a way to pay cash for college, and if they're interested, have him give them a call. So we run a program now called, that turned into a program we do called Cash for College. If you want me to show you what that looks like this afternoon in the CEO training, I'll show you what Cash for College looks like. It is a movement. It is capturing the millennial generation by complete storm. This is not a joke. I learned yesterday that your guys' college costs maybe about $5,000 a year to attend, is that right?
5 to 10 or more.
20.
You're saying 20?
Yeah, my name is 20.
20,000 for college? Okay, good. So that sounds more like what we pay for college. It's about $25,000 a year for our state schools where we go to school. And that's not cheap. You know what happens? They take out student loans. How in the world do you pay back $80,000 or $100,000 in today's economy working on a job? How do you do that? I don't know. You ever heard of this guy named Barack Obama? You ever heard of him before? I'm not asking you what do you think about Barack Obama. I said, have you ever heard of Barack Obama before? Okay, so he announced about 8 months ago, 10 months ago, that he just finished paying off his student loans from school. Now here's a guy, forget about what you think about him. This is not the point of the conversation. The point is, here's a guy, like him or not, or you don't know what you think about him, he's been in the upper socioeconomic status for a long time, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on salaries, let alone endorsements and other things that he gets for showing up or speaking or however else he makes his money. He just paid off his student loans. If he just paid off his student loans, and so did his wife, she made the same announcement, they just paid off collectively their student loans. What makes you think that it's going to be simple to pay off student loans? The point is it's not. So it's cash for college. What's this rabbit trail I'm on? I'm showing you examples of reasons people have for why they're going to build this business. Do you want to take the rest of your life paying off student loans, then maybe that's a reason why you want to do this. There's all kinds of reasons. So find your reason, lock in, and let your reason be bigger than the negative obstacle that could come against you, and you'll always be victorious. So that's what's behind this reason. If you've got a reason with somebody, they'll never quit. If you don't make number one happen, they could. They could. They'll forget why they're supposed to be here. Number two was the CEO pact. How many people in this room are already CEO qualified? Raise your hand if you're already CEO qualified. You already have purchased a CEO pack. Okay, so the rest of you, you've made an arrangement for your CEO pack. All right? So the CEO pack is really important. Number one, this is what it takes to make all the commissions. Okay, this is what it takes to make all the commissions. You have to have a CEO pack. So if you want to make money in this company, you need to have a CEO pack. Number two, you have to use the products. And number three is you need to change where you shop. You need to change where you shop. This is number two. Very, very important. It's amazing to me how many people think that the CEO pack is just a little charade. Like it's just something that you have to go through. Okay, I have to spend the $720, I'll get a CEO pack, and then it sits on the shelf. That always boggles my mind. That happens. It sits on the shelf. So you have to commit to using the CEO pack. You need to know what's inside. The box is about this big. It's not a scary box. It's about that wide, by about that tall, and about that deep. It's very, very simple. Inside are the 90 essential nutrients you need to get on right away. Energy products, weight loss products, digestion products, cellular health products, recovery products. That's what's in the CEO pack. Use all of them. They're in sampleable format too, so you can take these stick tubes and you can give one to somebody and say, here, use this instead of what you're using. You're gonna love it. And I'm not a guy that gets into like the particulates of products, because here's what happens. You end up getting into a spitting contest with other people. My product's better than your product. My dad can beat up your dad. Remember that one when you were a kid? You know, if you had a dad, you always thought your dad was the best. I thought my dad was the best. He could beat everybody at everything. And then you realize they're human too. So that's kind of like the products that come inside of longevity. Now I know deep down inside of me that they saved my life. I know deep down inside of me that they've liberated and given the best health to people all over the world. I know that. But if you lead with that, coming out of your mouth, then you've got to go to work with research and testing and studies and third-party stuff, and you've got to defend that all day long. I don't want to defend that all day long. That's not my objective on this planet, is to have to defend the studies and Dr. Wallach and his credibility. And here's what happens. I know this to be true. You guys love talking about products, so you'll go, oh my goodness, if you take these products, your blindness is going to go away, the pain in your hip is going to go away, you're going to grow wings and you're going to start flying, and people say, prove it. And then you've got to go spend a month, 2 months, proving how great your products are. Meanwhile, you've paralyzed somebody. They are incapable of moving forward because you've made such a bold claim that has to be defended that they're stuck. Whereas I'll come along and I'll say, hey, listen, you know what? We've got a pretty special thing going on here in New Zealand right now. I've got some mentor friends of mine that are making a huge difference in people's lives physically and financially. I know you work hard like me. I know you work hard like me. And because I know that we're a lot more the same than we are different, I know that you want to own your time. I know that you want to feel good physically. I know that you want the best finances for yourself. I'm on a 2-year plan right now. In 2 years from now, we're going to be free. We're going to make a lot of money doing something, and I want you to meet a couple people that I'm connected with. I never mentioned anything about longevity. I never mentioned anything about products, labels, brands, ingredients, product claims. I didn't talk about how much money. I didn't mention Dr. Wallach's name. I didn't do any of that stuff. And the reason I don't do that is because as soon as I do that, then people go to Google. Right? Isn't that what people do? We all go to Google, we get really smart, and the next thing you know, people are asking you questions before they come see the plan. They just need to come see the plan. This will answer the questions, overcome objections, hurdles, obstacles, showstoppers, roadblocks. They'll meet all of you, each other, this afternoon in CEO school. We're going to talk about what it looks like to have a healthy dynamic, how to structure your team. We're going to talk about how to position yourself to make 5 figures on a monthly basis. We're going to go through all that this afternoon. That's what we're going to do. That's why you need to be CEO qualified. So when you invite people, invite them to see the plan, to come and meet people. If you do anything more than that, then you have to become the expert. You have to defend anything you state, and it's going to prevent them from taking action and seeing what they need to see. So, the CEO pack is important, and I just got into number 3, which is the list. So when you build your list, I know you're capable of building a substantial list, and you're welcome to build a substantial list. However, with the substantial list, I want you to highlight or circle the top 6 people that in a perfect world you would love to do business with. You would love to travel the world with. You'd love to be free with. You'd love to be able to play golf with on Mondays or Thursdays or Fridays when everybody else is working. You'd love to hold the hand of your wife in the middle of the day rather than waiting to weekends, or your spouse or your significant other. Who's on your list? We're going to show you this afternoon how to talk to these people, how to invite them, how to communicate with them so that you have a 100% batting average, a 90% batting average. When you talk to them, they all say yes because they're intrigued. They believe you. They want to know more. They want to have this life that you're talking about. That list of 6 is so important. I'm going to put up here, master the invite. That's what's behind number 3, master the invite. This afternoon, you will master the invite. I'm not letting anybody leave until they master the invite. You'll know that invite so well, every time you open your mouth to somebody, you're going to set an appointment. Every single time. It'll be impossible for them to say no to you. Number 4 is this concept of being engaged. When we say be engaged, it means every day you should be taking steps toward growing yourself. You ever heard the concept of personal growth and business development? You need to constantly be developing yourself personally. Read a book. I'm traveling with a book right now. Here's my book. So I'm reading this book. An Enemy Called Average. That's the book. John Mason is the author. Why am I reading this book? Because inside this book, I'm constantly programming myself with thoughts like this. So this gives you like different principles and stuff. Here's one right here. So I stopped on this one this morning. And by the way, I'm always reading this book. I've read this book so many times, it's not funny, but I'm constantly brainwashing myself to take away the brainwashing that might be hiding somewhere in a nook and cranny in my head that's negative. This snuffs out all the negative stuff in my head and it replaces it with something else. So here's a thought for you. Being a servant, and it highlights the word servant, because that's what we do. We're in service, not sales. We're in service, so serve someone else. That's the concept of being a servant. Being a servant won't make you famous, just rich. Being a servant won't make you famous, just rich. So sometimes we look down on people that are servants. The first thing that might come to mind is, somebody that comes and cleans your house, maybe the people that wash your car, maybe the people that say hi to you when you show up and go to church, they greet you at the front door. It might be the person that waits your table when you go out to lunch today. These are all service or servant-related roles that exist in the community. So, just rich. So if you want to be rich, you might need to learn how to be a better servant. The next one says this: no one is truly a success in life until he or she has learned how to serve. So there's something about this service thing. Say no to many good ideas. Say yes to priorities. Say no to many good ideas. Say yes to priorities. You've got to learn what your priorities are. And I'm going to ask you right now, what are your priorities? What are they? What are your priorities?
Own my own time.
To own your own time.
Be there for my children.
Say it louder.
Be there for my children.
Be there for your children.
Financial
Change the world. Okay.
Amen.
Money. Okay. Probably.
Be as good a person as I can be. Be as useful person, in the service.
Yeah. Be a useful person.
Being so useful is not the right word either. Something to do with service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John.
To help others reach their full potential.
Help everyone reach their full potential.
Yeah.
That's good. That's noble. Yep. So here's my priorities. I have 5 of them, and they're in order. So here's what they are. They don't have to be your priorities. I just want to give you an idea of the answer to this question. And I've thought about this list of priorities for decades, like over 2 decades now. And I've refined them, and I've got them down to a place now where, for me, that I live inside these 5 priorities, because if I don't live inside these 5 priorities, something could come along from the side and distract me from what I'm really supposed to be focused on. Next thing you know, I'm derailed or down a rabbit trail. So every time someone comes at me, I stop and I say, does that line up with my priorities? But see, most people don't know their priorities, and they're always distracted because they don't know how to evaluate or use discernment about how to use their time. So here's what mine are. Now, I'm going to ask forgiveness in advance because some of you may not believe or think the way that I think or believe, and so just my personal self, and I'm being vulnerable. So my first priority is God. That's number 1. My second priority is my wife. My third priority is my children. My fourth priority is my health. My fifth priority is money. Notice I said money was last. I talk about money a lot, but I talk about the other 4 things even more. And I talk about money all the time. But I talk about the other 4 even more than I talk about money. I'm obsessed about those 5 things, all of them. I'm completely, utterly obsessed. And so my goal is, with those 5 priorities, if I broke each of them down individually, my goal is to have a 10 out of 10 on each of those 5 things as an outcome for the fact that they're priorities. Again, if you focus on something that hard, consistently, shouldn't the outcome be really good? Shouldn't it? Yeah, it should be. And so when you focus on making money, for example, and you make that a priority, you'll make money. We laugh in the States, so I'm beating myself up because that's where I'm from. So we laugh in the States because we're getting ready to go through a presidential election in a year. And right now, all the nasty campaigns have started. And the stones are being thrown, the spitting contests have begun, and it's really ironic because one candidate after another gets up there and says, I'm going to lower the national deficit, which is $19 trillion now. You know who really owns the U.S. is China. Sorry to say for myself, but it's the truth. I'm going to lower the national deficit. I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to put improved healthcare systems together. I'm sorry, but that's what every candidate says. Every candidate says the same things over and over again. So if we want to lower taxes, wouldn't we have them? The fact that we don't have lower taxes says that we don't really want taxes to be lowered. The fact that we have a horrible healthcare system says that's not a priority. You see where I'm going with this? If you make your priorities and you obsess about the outcome, then you win. But most people have never obsessed because they don't know what to obsess about. Because they never ask that question of themselves. I wonder what my priorities are. Make sense? Yeah. So that's why I ask you, what are your know what they are for you. And then you won't get distracted. Then you'll be intentional. Then you'll stay focused. Under money, I made one of my projects to become a senior vice chairman marketing director inside of Longevity. And I said, by this date, it will happen. We set the date. By the last day of December, it happened. We said our income will reach a certain amount. It happened. That was on the financial side. On the health side, which was number 4 for me, I said, I want to be disease-free. I want to be as healthy as I possibly can. I want to get in shape. It happened. I made a commitment just about a month ago. I made a commitment to get in the best shape of my life. Now, I've always been an active, outdoors kind of person. I've exercised, I've worked out, I've eaten well, I've climbed mountains, I ride a bike, I downhill snow ski. I'm your all-American adventurer. And then I got unhealthy. I don't know how it happened, probably just like for Chris. I woke up one day and I said, something's wrong. I didn't know what it was, but I could feel it. I just said, something's wrong. I know it's not right. I don't feel right. Something's up. Something inside of me isn't working. And that's when I started to find out and discover that I was not healthy. But I thought I was healthy. I looked healthy. I acted healthy. I seemed to be healthy by the naked eye to everybody else, but I wasn't healthy. And so I'm doing everything I can. I'm obsessing about my health. What can I do to get in the best shape of my life? So one thing that I haven't done lately is empowered somebody else to hold me accountable to get myself physically in shape. And so I went to a gentleman that I met about last September. And he was introduced to me by a gentleman named Andrew Harley. Andrew Harley is an Aussie, and he lives in the States. And I said, introduce me the most powerful, influential person that you know, and let's talk to him about longevity. So he did. We set up a lunch. He came, and in 5 minutes, he said, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm in. And I sat there thinking about that, and I'm like, I didn't even show him the details, but it didn't matter. He said, I'm buying you. I'm following you. I want what you've got. And I said, sir, I want what you've got. He owned Nick's Pro Fitness. He owned a gymnasium. He's a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo. Not very many 5th degree black belts in the world in Taekwondo. He's one of them. And he runs fitness classes every day for Taekwondo and personal fitness. And I heard rumors about this guy's physical fitness program and the classes he ran. And I said, I want to be part of that class. So I committed a month ago. Tomorrow's a month. And the first week of working out with him, halfway through, I literally wanted to puke. Every single time. I was like, man, this is horrible. I feel so bad. And the moral of the story is, I had to push through that so I could feel good. I had to push through the pain so I could get to a place to where I felt good. This business works exactly the same way. You got to push through the pain of newness, of rejection, of fear, of mental concern, self-doubt. You have to push through all that stuff because right on the other side of fear is success. That's where success lies, is right on the other side of fear. If you just push right through the fear, success lives right on the other side. So guess what? If you want to be successful, you're going to have to face your fears. There's no other way to become successful. There's no other way to own your life except that you face your fears head on. You have to go right down the middle of that thing. And that's why engagement is so important. We need you on the team. You need us to help you find your spot on the team. That's what we have to do. So now when I work out, it's a habit for me. This workout that I started doing a month ago, I don't want to puke anymore. I feel so good. By the time I'm done, it kicks my butt, but I feel good on the other side. I had to go right through the middle of that. Even here, I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock. I knew I had to be here at 9, but I got up on time so that I could do the workout in my hotel room. I didn't skip just because I had an excuse card. I didn't skip just because he wasn't watching me or holding me accountable. I needed to be held accountable in the beginning so that I could create a habit so that I would do it when no one was watching. Now I do it when nobody's watching. That's what engagement will do for you. Are you willing to save another person's life when no one's watching? Or will you only do it if someone's holding your feet to the fire? That's what engagement is all about. How are we doing on time? We got about 5 minutes. So those steps right there, this is your success plan right here. We have conference calls. We have webinars. We have weekly meetings. We have Saturday trainings. And you have local leadership. That's what you got. That's what engage means. Plug into everything that you possibly can. Engage into everything you possibly can. You won't necessarily, where's my handwriting roll? You're squinting. Sherry, can you read it all?
It's okay.
Conference calls, webinars, weekly meetings, Saturday trainings, and local leadership. You probably won't be able to fit all that in every day, but do whatever you can. People ask me this question all the time. They say, Scott, how much time is it going to take for me to be successful in this business? How much time in a week should I put in? And the answer is, as much as you can. There isn't an exact answer. I've seen people that work smart a couple hours a week that are super busy, like they're overwhelmed. They're working 60 hours a week. They got drive time. They're in rush hour traffic every day. They're pounding their head on the wall going, where does it give? How can I get more out of less? And so I say the answer is you just do whatever you can. Whatever you can, that's what you do. So work smart, not hard. Hard is 10, 12-hour days. What are we asking about here, Trish? What are you asking about? Local leadership. Sorry about my chicken scratch. So those are the 4 steps to success. Get familiar with these. Go through them yourself and repeat the cycle with your brand new people. Go through them yourself, repeat the cycle with your brand new people. I'm going to do an exercise today on baseball that you're going to love, that's going to drive this whole point home. What I wanted to do right now is just remind everybody on a very basic level what it means to be part of the Longevity family. How you show up in the Longevity family. What it takes as your focus and your obsession to create traction and to get results and to get the outcome that you're looking for with your journey. So on that note, let's break on time for lunch right now, and we're going to take a 2-hour break. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, so we want to start right at 2 o'clock. We have a full 3 hours of information to get through from 2 to 5 p.m. I'm going to pour my guts out to you. I'm going to give you the best I've got on a leadership level, and we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty. And I've come a long ways to deliver this news, so you don't want to miss this. Don't be late. Missing 5 minutes is not going to be good for you. You don't want to catch up or have to go backwards. So before we depart, are there any questions that I can answer before we take off for lunch?